All right. Hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. So nice to see folks trickling in already. Happy Thursday, wherever you are joining from. We're so glad you're here. To get us started, as we wait for folks to trickle in, I am just going to share my screen. Everyone can see that. And go over a little bit of webinar housekeeping. So if you've been here for one of our sessions before, this is all pretty standard now, but go ahead and hop into your chat and flip that to everyone. It defaults to hosts and panelists. So we want to all engage with your messages and see them all. So pop in there, and while you're in there, introduce yourself, let us know where you're from, what discipline you are, and maybe if it's sunny or snowing wherever you are today. It's a nice sunny day here in Ontario for myself. And then also feel free throughout this session to use chat and Q&A. So we'll be keeping an eye on the Q&A. We do have some Jane team members here to keep an eye on any of those questions, and we'll try and answer some of them throughout as we go. And also this session will be recorded. So we will likely send that out tomorrow or later today. And it'll also be posted on our Jane guide, where you can also see our whole webinar history and library there as well. And so before we get into any introductions, I would love to do a little shout out about Front Desk. Our magazine, Volume 2, is now officially out in the wild. Feel free to drop in the chat too if you've maybe already received your Volume 2 copy. I feel like some are starting to trickle into mailboxes. And if you've not subscribed, definitely head to, there we go, Julie has one, love it. Head to jane.app/frontdesk. We can also drop a link to that in the chat to get your free copy. I will call out, if you've already subscribed, you do not need to subscribe again. Once is good enough, and you will be a part of our Front Desk community forever. So just stay tuned for that to arrive in your mailbox shortly. And this ties in so nicely to today, because everybody that we will be chatting with, Lisa, Nichole, and Julie, are all featured in this magazine. So we'll be chatting about some different marketing tips and tricks today, but there's even more in the magazine. So definitely make sure you get your free copy. All right. And so I would love to actually kick things off here with just some roundtable introductions. Since I am talking already, I'll go first. I am Hannah, our social media manager here at Jane on the community team. I love being able to interact and connect with all of you. We've perhaps chatted in the DMs on Instagram before, but yeah, so nice to see you all here today. And I'll pass it over to Julie.
Hi, folks. I'm Julie Durnan. I'm a naturopathic physician. I'm also a clinic owner in North Vancouver, BC. My clinic is Restoration Health Clinic, and I'm the very proud founder and CEO also of Ginger Desk. We're a team of virtual assistants who support the administrative needs of health practitioners. And I'm so happy to be here. So thank you.
Love it. Take it away, Nichole.
Hi, everyone. I'm so happy that you are here. I'm just so excited to talk business today, guys, because we learned nothing about this in graduate school. I am Nichole McCance. I am a retired psychologist. Yes, I will tell you how I got there and tell you all those tips today. And I was able to build a group practice in just 3 years to 55 therapists and multiple 7 figures and sell it. So I will just give you all the goods very soon.
Love to hear it. So excited. And Lisa.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lisa Simone Richards. I'm a PR and visibility strategist. And what that means is I help my clients get third-party endorsements. So whether that's featured on television, popular websites, newspapers, magazines, that's where I help my clients shine. I'm based in Toronto, Ontario, and I think I might be the only person here who doesn't have a certification. So we'll bring different perspective.
Yeah, no, I love that. We all will have different perspectives about everything, which is so great to hear. So I have some questions written out here. I want to make sure I get to all of them because there's some really good ones here. So let's just hop right in. Lisa, we can kick it off with a question around content. So a lot of people know that they should be doing something when it comes to content, whether that's sharing blogs on their website or staying active on social media. But we often know that content doesn't necessarily equal visibility. So could you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, I always like to make the distinction between content that you're creating yourself, so that gets you in front of more people who are already, or in front of the people who are already following you. But there's the distinction of getting visibility, getting in front of people who may not know you just yet. So something I like to encourage my clients to do is, if you're going to be making content, why not do it in a way that's going to help amplify your visibility at the same time? So what that might look like is something like what all of us are doing here right now today. We get to get in front of our existing community, Julie, Nichole, and myself, but we also get to meet some new community members, share some knowledge with them, share some value, regardless if we get to connect on the back end or not, which we always love to do. There's a way that we can share information and content, but it really spreads out far and wide. So I love the idea of creating content for ourselves, but also really making sure you're intentional about that distinction between content for your own home platform and content that's intended to grow your audience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. I feel like that is a really important distinction. And even just about content in general, would you say, like, what are your thoughts on quantity versus quality as well?
I think it always comes down to goals as well. When it comes to social media, I don't profess to be the social media expert. I'm totally a third-party visibility expert, but I certainly know a few things along the way. We know that if you post consistently and more frequently, you are going to show up in the algorithm more. And we also know, as business owners, consistency in any area of business is typically going to help us. So again, I like to think about, maybe you're being consistent in showing up with your pillar content 3 times a week, for example, but also build in once or twice a week, how can I share a content platform with somebody else? Maybe an intentional part of my strategy is to go live with somebody else on Instagram, or to go live in someone else's Facebook group, to do an interview like something like Front Desk Magazine. So make sure part of that content includes the visibility piece to make sure you're getting the most out of it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. And now, Julie. So when you first started your clinic, it grew largely by focusing on relationships and word of mouth referrals. So can you speak to how you've gone from that to now doing more partnerships like influencer marketing and things like that, that are a little bit more formal partnerships, and what that's looked like, and any tips for anybody that's looking to bridge into that as well?
Yes, that's such a great question. And I always talk, so I do a master's class at the Naturopathic College to the 4th-year students every year. And I talk to them about this story of this wolf pack that I built when I first launched my clinic. So I've now founded 2 clinics. When I founded my second clinic, that's really when I developed and promoted my niche of working with women and children in practice. And I created this wolf pack around me that now I term it wolf pack of other complementary business owners. So they weren't necessarily other practitioners, but I really created this partnership with a lawyer, a personal trainer, and a dentist. And it seems now like so unlikely that I would even consider that those would be the people I would gravitate toward. Like, you know, you think of who complements an ND, and it's typically a physio or a chiro. But these business owners were at the same level of business that I was at. So they were just as busy as I was. They were also launching their own brick and mortar practice or business. And so we developed this little group, and we met once a month rather. And we would meet in each other's offices, and then we would cross promote our services. So I had a little elevator pitch that I shared with them, and then they would quickly and easily be able to share that with their clients and their communities. And it worked like magic. It was just so wonderful to have a team surrounding me and to be pre-vetted. And then our clinic became pre-vetted by this community. So my advice to folks is, you know, regardless of, there's influencers out there, certainly, but to start with what you've got, and your local community and complementary businesses are so powerful. So go to where your people are hanging out and spend time there. And your time and money will be so well spent in that community, because you'll be able to leverage so much more than had you gone out and just done some cold marketing. There's so much power there. And then I will say, as to influencer stuff, I mean, there's so many different ways that that's worked for us. But one thing is, when we've got influencers in the clinic who are actively patients of ours, we're really great at supporting them and letting them know that we would love to be seen by their community. And so it's totally in our integrity, and it's, we're all licensed professionals. And so we have to be very careful with testimonials and how that's promoted, but certainly it's up to them if they want to promote us. And I mean, by doing great work and being authentic and being the best at what you do, people will want to share what you do with their communities. So we haven't sought out influencers, but they've certainly been patients of ours that we've nurtured along the way.
I love that. And that actually segues really nicely into this next question for you, Nichole, because I know in your profession, sharing testimonials and reviews like that, it's not as common. And so I'm curious, like any ideas that you have around how you market yourself authentically while still staying within those legal and ethical boundaries of the profession.
Yeah, I'm a huge believer in digital marketing. Why I love digital marketing is it's low on effort, low on time, because none of us have that, but really high on ROI. Lean on digital marketing because it works when you sleep. So the very first thing that when I got a business coach, so before I became a business coach, of course, I got one, and I still remember the conversation I had with him. So he asked me, Nichole, what are you doing for advertising? What are you doing for advertising to promote your group practice? And I was like, because I never learned anything about this in business school. I was like, oh my gosh, how else will they find me? Right. So I am a true believer in Google ads, not doing them yourself. Please don't do them yourselves, but to find an expert to do them for you. However, before you invest in being on the very top of Google, because let's be honest, when we're all looking for a therapist, where do we go? First, we'll ask our best friend, but then we'll go to their website to check them out, right? But before you invest in those Google ads, please make sure you have a website that converts. I'd like you all to think about your website for a second. If I go there, is it going to speak directly to me? Is it going to show me that, yes, you can solve my problem and help me? But here's the best part, and this is a little mentioning Jane here, is I feel like I grew so fast because I really invested in the branding and the ads, right? The magic there, but also Jane's magic was the online booking. So I feel like we live in a world where we need the dopamine hit. And if you don't have online booking on your website, you are losing clients because they need that dopamine hit. And then at least they'll book a consult and feel like, okay, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to get the help I need in a few days. And just one other quick thing, when they click the online booking, make sure they can get in with you within 2 days. And if they can't, because you're probably thinking, nope, then maybe it's time to hire. And that's why I help people move into the group practice and work a little bit less.
Amazing. Yeah. I love all the Jane tie-ins there. It is so true though. The dopamine hit and even just the ease. People don't really want to call anymore if they don't have to, right?
Yeah.
So being able to
I get frustrated, don't you? Like, I'm like, as if you don't have online booking.
I know.
It's not 1990.
No, yeah, we are far past that now. I actually see, like, even when I'm on social, the amount of TikToks and reels that people are posting being like, really, you don't have this set up? Like, if I have to call, I'm just not going. So
yeah. And also I get most things done at like 5 a.m. before my kids wake up. That's when I'm doing all my booking, you know?
Yeah. At like 5 a.m., 8 p.m., like it just when everywhere's closed already. So that just helps so much. Okay. And then, so also speaking of platforms and all the things, Lisa, a question for you again. So now that TikTok has really taken off, companies are focusing on user-generated content more so. And I think, Julie, you sort of touched on this, and I actually hosted an Instagram live yesterday as well that sort of tied into this, but I'm curious what your thoughts are on building a good strategy of like how to actually ask your clients to share about you. Or to share, to post and tag and all the things.
Yeah, and I might ask you to ask me that a second time because I want to come back to something Nichole had mentioned quickly, and then I can answer that one. Nichole, I love that you shared, make sure people can book and speak with you within 2 days. Because, further out than that, there might be who's this person? What did I book this call for? And I think that's a lot of the time when you're going to see those drop-offs start happening when you're showing up for your calls. They're like, where is the other person? So I do love that you tied in, like, make sure you make it speedy so they get that dopamine hit and they have an immediate action to take. So I just wanted to reiterate that was such a really good point there.
Thank you.
And okay, I'm going to try and come back to your question, Hannah, because I tend to forget things real quickly. So you were talking about user-generated content and how we can encourage our clients to become our ambassadors and share about us. Was that it?
Yep, you got it.
One of the things that I love about PR and visibility, and I've been doing this for over 20 years now, and I think about the evolution of this industry. I acknowledge I'm a publicist who does not have a cable subscription. I do not know the last time I bought a magazine, but I still recognize the power, and I think a lot of business owners recognize the power of being able to have as featured on your website. So one of the things that I love about this industry is as much as the platforms change, the principles don't necessarily shift that much. And when I think about successful ways to create user-generated content, I think back to a company I worked back for in 2009. So this is when we had Facebook. There was no, maybe Instagram was in its infancy, but we definitely were not on TikTok at the time. And we gamified it. We incentivized our clients to be our ambassadors. A program that we did then, which obviously would be a little bit different now, is we asked our clients, we're going to do a contest to win a free 30-day boot camp. Put up a selfie with a caption saying why you love our boot camp specifically. And so they did a post, hashtag, I love this company because, and the reason why. So now all of their Facebook friends are getting a notification that so-and-so changed their profile. And they're seeing like maybe multiple friends in the same city say that they love this company. And all of a sudden now somebody else is thinking, oh, what is it? Why do so many people like it? And they may have heard of it before. And now they have that reinforcement coming in. So what are ways that you can incentivize, gamify your clients to have them share? And also one thing I love that I've learned from a business coach before is create partnership from the start. So one thing that you can do as you're onboarding a new client to share with them is, hey, as I help you achieve your goals, are you available to help me create some of the ones that I have? And this is what my mission is, and this is what my vision is. Do you champion that as well? Awesome. And if I'm able to help you reach your goals, are you willing to share a little bit about me as well? And that's a way that even from the start, let's say further down the relationship, you want to ask for that. It's not coming as a surprise. It's not taking anyone out of left field because you asked for that permission in advance. So that's something to maybe even consider as a part of the onboarding strategy so that you can share their content later on, or it's something that's top of mind for them to create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so interesting. And I think that it also just starts with asking. Like I know yesterday when I was chatting about this, it's even just if you have those like 5 clients that are already your champions or the ones bringing you coffee when they come in for their appointment, like start by asking them if they would be willing to even comment on your posts or share them, whatever that might look like. And I think sometimes you'd be surprised by how willing people are actually to do that. And then the more you ask, the more you'll get used to it and it'll just naturally snowball.
And some of those people are willing to come back over and over and over again. I think about clients that I've worked with in the health industry. One who comes to mind is somebody who had never done television before. And we worked together for a year. And, a few years since now, she's done well over 60 television segments. So she's always reaching out to me when she sees me post something. Hey, do you need a testimonial for something? I'd love to be able to share my experience. So it's really nice to have those champions of yours who want to keep showing up for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so Julie, another question for you as well, which I think you sort of touched on, about how with your clinic, you really serve women and families. So you've really found your niche. And so you can really speak to that niche. I think sometimes people think that that pigeonholes you when it comes to what you're sharing. And if you're talking too specifically, that's not broad enough and you'll miss out on other clients. But can you talk about how maybe that's actually benefited you by getting really specific on who you're targeting?
Yes, absolutely. And I'm going to do just what Lisa did. And I want to comment on what Lisa said.
Hop in anytime.
Because Lisa, you said the word champion. And this is a word that I always use with my new practitioners who come into the clinic is there's this theory that it's not my theory. It's Chris Flett, who his business is Go CEO. And I used him as a business coach when I was first starting out. And he has this theory about creating your list of champions, and that as a new business owner or new practitioner, you need to create a list of 50 people that you can nurture along the way who become your champions. And I think a lot of our doctors, like I graduated 18 years ago now. So the way we marketed ourselves coming out then was so different than we do now, but it was really based in relationships. And now I think a lot of the newer practitioners get stuck behind the screen and they just think that posting some static posts on Instagram is going to get them some traction, but they need to remember that you've got to create these relationships with people. And so my suggestion is make a list of 50 champions. And it might even be that your mom or your aunt is on that list. It might be your hairdresser. It doesn't matter, but it's people who adore you and want to see you succeed. And then as you grow, it'll be practitioners like other professionals that love you, and it will be patience of yours. But make that list and then really regularly go back to that list and make sure that you're checking in on them. Like send them a DM, give them a call, set up a Zoom tea with them, but really make sure that you're not just letting it go and assuming they're going to keep talking about you, because you need to stay front of mind for them. And so I love that word champion. And I think that's my two takeaways are definitely find a wolf pack and then create your list of champions, because relationships is really where you're going to see a lot be able to scale. And then
actually,
yes,
I'm gonna jump in there because there's a question in the Q&A actually that relates back to the wolf pack. So just wondering how you actually went about reaching out to your wolf pack initially, and did this just happen organically, or how did that come to be?
Yes. I mean, specifically, a bunch of us were just attending a networking event. It was actually online. And we started to connect and just said, hey, I'm looking to grow my business. Hey, I'm looking to grow mine. And the lawyer in our group actually reached out and said, let's all go for brunch. And we did. And we just said, let's make it regular. And so it literally just took one person to say, let's go on a date. I want to support you and I want you to support me. We were totally honest about it. And it was, it was wonderful.
Can I jump in about that real quick? I think to walk around as a bit of a advertisement for yourself, believe in yourself, right? So I'm a big believer. I have a naturopath, an osteopath, a massage therapist, and they all became my friends and we all referred to each other. And it was so easy. I'd be laying on the bed. Oh, did you know we just hired a new intern? Like it would just be so natural. And before I know it, they're sending me more people and I'm sending them people.
Exactly. It's so amazing, right? And that's it. This wolf pack of mine, they've become some of my closest friends now. And that's really the coolest thing, is just put yourself out there. You're right. Be a walking billboard. I love that. And you have to be authentic. You can't be anything fake.
Yeah.
And then as for your niche question, what I'll say about that is, so our clinic focuses on women and families. And so how that's evolved is we now promote that we do a lot of hormone support. And so women identifying folks, children, we support all people in their hormone journey. And what I've realized is that you can't be everything to everyone. And I know there's tons of evidence out there for don't be a generalist, but really create a niche. But I've lived it out and I've really seen the proof that when I made the move to stop talking to everybody, I ended up with a 3-month wait list, because people want their problem solved and they want to know that they're seeing the best person for the job. They don't just want the smartest person who knows everything. They're going to search for the person who can specifically solve their pain point. And so if you can speak directly to that target population about why you're the best person for them, it will be so much easier and clearer for you to build your brand, create the content, create the visuals, and really reach them, because you'll be speaking in a language that appeals to them. And then the best part is they'll tell all their friends, and your practice will just grow exponentially because you've got the right folks coming in. So I'm a really big believer in niche marketing, and I encourage all my new practitioners to choose a niche and just go there. And you can always change it down the road. That's totally fine. No one's locking you into it, but just do it for marketing purposes right out the gate, because you will just get so busy.
Can I jump in about that? So for the people here that are in our group, because I had 55 people, we were a bit of a one-stop shop. So for those of you listening that are like, oh no, I'm already a one-stop shop. How do I change all my marketing? I have something that you can do. The best of both worlds. Everything you just said, Julie, is so important. What if you were to pick something that could differentiate you from the crowd and you create it as a package? So let's say a treatment plan. So psychologist over here is about, let's say 12 sessions. Okay. What if you were to create a niche package that you offered that differentiates you? They come in for that. For me, it was neurofeedback. Specifically, we had a 10-week ADHD brain training program that pulled the people in. And then mom would say, oh, wait, you mean I can bring my husband for couples counseling? That's amazing. And I can deal with my anxiety here. So do you know what I mean? So if you're like, oh gosh, niche, I don't know, I'm like 15 years in or whatever, you can do it with a package.
I completely agree, Nichole. And it's funny because at my clinic, we often get men coming in who will say like, I don't think you treat me, and I'm always like, we do. I mean, we're naturopathic doctors, we're primary care doctors, we treat everyone. We market to a specific segment,
Yeah.
and that's the difference.
Exactly.
I'd love to echo the same thing. I've gone through a few different iterations of my business. So at one point I was PR and visibility specifically for health, fitness, and wellness companies. Then I was working with doctors specifically. Now I find myself working more with founders. But on the back end, I've worked with some food companies that I'm not going to name on a health webinar. I've worked with Charlotte Tilbury. I've worked with just brands in different industries, jewelry companies, for example. Like, they're not who I position myself to, but people know who you are and what they do. And they're like, hey, are you able to support me? But for the people who I want to market to, it's just so much easier to concentrate on one specific audience because you can connect with them at a deeper level and speak to those problems that I think Nichole was starting to mention earlier, so that when they see your copy, when they hear your content, it's like, yes, how did she get in my head? That's exactly what I'm going through right now. So that's the feeling you want to really inspire in people who are consuming your content, landing on your website, and just really considering you as an option to support them.
And can I add to that, Lisa? I'll say that, I think a lot of times new practitioners, I'm always saying new, but I guess it's because I feel like it's the new ones who struggle with this. But oftentimes practitioners will struggle and go, which niche should I choose? I'm not even sure. And my advice to them on that is choose something that you love to do. And I came to that the hard way, where I decided a couple of years into practice that it was the spring and seasonal allergies were everywhere. And I was like, I'm just going to promote seasonal allergies. And this is going to be so great for me. It's going to be so lucrative. And what happened was I hated it. I hated treating allergies. And one of the doctors I worked with at the time was so wise. And he said to me, like, do you love allergies? Because you're spending all this money on this print ad. That was what was cool back then. And you're pouring all your energy into it. And I was like, no, I hate it. I just want to treat PMS and fertility. And he was like, then go do that. Like, and that's when it changed for me, is when I actually started talking to those people, because I was obsessed with them anyway. I loved it. I wanted to do more special training on it. And so it just came so naturally for me to be talking on those topics. So do what you love, because they will follow you. They'll sense your passion.
If I could jump in real quick, there's an amazing book, The Big Leap. Gay Hendricks talks about your zone of genius. And so what could you do all day long and you're in the flow and you're good at? And if you couple those two things, magic.
So great. I feel like, we'll have to link out to that book. I've definitely heard of it before too, but this is a good reminder to check it out. Just trying to take a look at the questions here as well to make sure we get to some of those. Just one about, I think, going back to the Wolfpack again. Is there a certain discount to the services within that group that you would offer collectively?
You're asking me this about, So we are not legally allowed to offer discounts on our services. Okay. As naturopathic physicians in British Columbia anyway. So no, they didn't get a discount on services. One thing we were able to offer was a partnership or friends and family discount on any supplements purchased out of our clinic. So I've always tried to be creative with ways that we can honor these kind of partnerships. And that's the way that has worked for us. I know that wouldn't be the same for other clinic owners, but that certainly, and I also have this belief that payment is due when service is rendered, and that we can devalue our service if we're giving discounts on it. So I've always felt very strongly that our time is very special and should be protected, and that the full fee should be paid.
Oh yeah. Okay, cool. And then just one quick question. Who's the author of that book, Nichole? I feel like
Gay Hendricks, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. It will change your life. It's so good.
I love it.
So good. I love that book. Good call, Nichole.
Okay, cool. And so just to keep it moving a little bit here as well. So Nichole, in the magazine, you talk about hiring, and you needed to hire because you had clients on the wait list. Like, I know even Julie, you mentioned you found your niche and then you had a 3-month wait list. So Nichole, can you talk about how you got to that point where demand was so high and you knew that you needed to expand?
Yes, this is where I want to talk about a different part of marketing that a lot of people don't think about. We're always thinking, bring in the new people, bring in the new people. It's a bit of an obsession, honestly. A lot of my members are like, okay, market, market, market. It's our favorite word. But what about the people that already come to you and haven't seen you in 6 months? What about that amazing client from 2 years ago that you're always wondering like, oh yeah, what happened to her? Are you email marketing? And what I love about Jane, because a lot of other practice management softwares don't have this, is as we know, use the online booking also. You know why? Because when they go to book online, what do they have to do? They have to create a profile. At the bottom of that profile, what do we ask them? Jane asks them, do you want, I change it to free resources because most people say like, ooh, yes, I do. The moment they do that, they've opted into your world. So double check that that is on, and you might just have 500 people. I was in practice for 15 years and literally had all of these people who already know me, like me, and trust me. And this is absolutely free to send an email. So I would send one every single month, but this is key. You want to make sure it's really high value and nobody, I don't call it a newsletter. Please don't send that. Nobody, reads those or open those anymore. Instead, I would just share something that's timely. What's timely right now? The winter blues, and use your benefits because you will lose them in a few months. So I would give so much value. And then at the very bottom say, by the way, we've just hired a reduced rate intern, or by the way, we just brought in a child therapist. And then of course, a call to action at the bottom.
Amazing.
We just like forget about our poor clients, and they truly want to see us.
It's so true. Yeah, I love how you even mentioned just the word of like the new, the obsession with new, but really there's so much that's already probably there that you can work with.
Yes. And it takes way more work to convert somebody from cold to warm as opposed to somebody who's seen you.
Yes. And actually a question about packages, like we were talking about, how could you, or what would be your suggestions to market a package that has a larger upfront cost so that clients see the value? So that was a question in the Q&A here.
Yeah. So about packages and ethics, there's two things we can't do. Ethically, we're not, as a psychologist in the province of Ontario, and I think most provinces, and I think most disciplines, we're not allowed to pre-bill. And we also can't discount, as per Julie's point. So what we would do is I charged $175, and it was a 10-week session, but they came 3 times a week, 2 neurofeedback sessions and 1 child session. And we would rotate it. The parent came, the child came, because we both know parents are a large part of the child having the issues, right? So it came to, and so I feel like it was $37.50. For some people, that's a lot, right? But because we itemized billed, it felt doable. And here's another little secret, which you're going to love, is when you're putting your package together, think about maybe incorporating the family, because guess what? We had 1 parent involved. So the parents would come in every other week, and then we could access 2 people's benefits, child, if they have coverage, and mom or dad, if they have coverage. So all of a sudden, most people in Ontario have about, let's say, $2,000 coverage. Oh my gosh, they have $4,000 total, and it was $37.50. We kind of planned that. Let me know. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, pop into the chat for sure if you ask that, if that answers. And then another one too, just about the new patients. So should you follow up on people who are a new patient, book an appointment, and then cancel with I don't need that appointment anymore?
Yes. The no-show rate on the first appointment is the highest because they don't know you. So we don't feel that bad because I haven't met you yet, for example, right? So I truly believe you can double your income and grow your practice just by following up with 3 people. Those that don't book after your free consult, if you offer one, they say like, oh, let me check my schedule. Those who, Jane calls it unscheduled visits. So those who just don't come back, like where'd they go, but they're in the middle of a treatment plan, and those who no show or cancel. And those ones, I would give them a couple of days, maybe 3 days, and then follow up. Most human beings want to be seen. They want you to notice that they didn't show up for themselves.
Amazing. Okay, cool. I have one last question here, and then we can hop into more of the questions that have come up in the chat. But for Julie, so in addition to your clinic, you've also now founded your virtual assistant company, Ginger Desk, which has accelerated very quickly with the transition to telehealth. So can you speak a little bit to how you actually balance marketing while also scaling your business?
Yes. And, I think I'll speak to first how this relates to health practitioners, because this is a big question that I get from my fellow colleagues is when is it time for me to outsource marketing? And my big lesson that I've learned firsthand over the last several years of running a company, but also having run 2 clinics, is that you're probably not going to get out of it for a really long time. And it's not to say that you can't have someone support you in social media or creating graphics for you, but I just want to remind business owners that you're the best director of marketing for your company until a certain level, like until the level where you're as big as Jane. You probably need to be the CMO of your own company. And it's because we understand our customers or our clients or our patients better than anyone will ever know. So I've had so many practitioners ask me, well, who did you use for branding? And what was the branding package you purchased? And the answer is me. I know my customers so well. I have done in-depth. I mean, I am one of them, and that's what's really helpful. But I know my customers and my patients inside and out. And so I'm the best one to sort out, like, even what color palette it might appeal to them, what fonts, like even when you're looking at that kind of thing. So the best campaigns, the best blog titles, the best subjects for, seasonal discussions that you can come up with are probably generated by you. And then if you can delegate those elsewhere, that's amazing. And learning to delegate is the best skill you'll ever learn. But remembering that you're going to be the one to direct the creative aspect of it is really critical. And I learned that the hard way, but I love it. And I love marketing, and I love having my hands in it. And it doesn't take too long to be the director, but you do have to be the one to have kind of the first say and now go, and then maybe just watch it over before it gets launched. Did that answer your question?
Yes. Yeah. That's great. Amazing. So that was kind of the gist of everything I wanted to run through, but I feel like we have lots of questions that we can also look through in the Q&A. So let's pop in there and see what we got. So actually a question for Lisa. So how would you recommend that uncertified practitioners present their skills?
Okay, so here is an interesting answer, and hopefully this works because I'm not familiar with the certifications and what you can legally do. So if I'm overstepping boundaries, someone feel free to hop in here. I think that no matter where you are in the game, you have a win. So if you're somebody who is brand new, just got certified, not sure what separates you from everybody else, fantastic. You can position yourself as having the latest hot off the presses knowledge because you're brand new. However, if you're somebody who's been doing this for 20, 30, however many years, you can say, I'm someone who's seen the fads come and go. I've seen what's tried, tested, and true. So there are a lot of innate things you can lean into. I think a lot of the time we're looking externally for things when if we really lean in, a lot of these answers are within us. And I might ask you to come back to the original question because I'm shifting on a bit of a tangent here. What was the original one? Let me make sure I'm
how would you
answering this.
recommend that uncertified practitioners present their skills?
And again, you know what? I'm going to come back to having those third-party endorsements. There's a difference between the way we see an ad for Tide, for example. We know they're trying to sell us on something. Whereas if you can have a testimonial with somebody else saying how good something is. A story I love to tell is this is probably a decade ago. I don't know who remembers the fresh lip glosses that we used to use so much. And I remember being at a dinner with a bunch of girlfriends. There were 5 of us there. And at the end of our meal, as we often do, we all whipped out our lip gloss and it all happened to be the fresh one. 4 out of 5 of us were using it. And girlfriend number 5, it's not that she's like a dumb sheep or anything, but she sees 4 of her best friends using this product. She's like, what is that? Why do you guys like it so much? And soon enough, she got one as well. So to be able to have those third-party endorsements are going to help people be more attracted to you. It'll help separate you. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention about that. When you can have other people say, look at how good they are versus saying, look at how good I am, there's a believability about that. So even if there's an opportunity for you to contribute your content to an external website, for example, little pro tip, if you go on Google and you type in Write for Us, WRITE for us, and what your specialty is, you will come across websites that are looking for guest contributors. So maybe you can even contribute a piece rather than just putting it on your own blog and getting it in front of your limited audience. You can put that on a larger platform. And then once it gets featured, now you can put on your website as featured on XYZ website. It may not be the biggest site, but this is a great platform to get started with. One more time, it's Write for Us, WRITE. So if you want to write an article for a site, and now you also become Googleable. There's a backlink that goes to your website as well. So that also works for SEO and marketing purposes. So having those endorsements of other people saying how great you are, it's just a shift when someone lands on your website. Let's say you're looking for a life coach and you find a life coach, but you find Tony Robbins and his site is like, this or whoever the person is. And they have all of these endorsements. Oprah's featured them. They've been on Best Health, Self. The way you perceive them is going to be a little bit different. And obviously in a regulated industry, the way you charge them might have to be standard, but you want to have that perception because we all want to be able to work with the best. And it just eliminates one barrier to someone taking that next step and moving forward with working with you.
Yeah, amazing. Okay, thank you for that. I actually don't know if I remember the fresh lip gloss. Now I feel out of the loop.
Oh my gosh, those berry ones that we used to have, love. They came in different scents. It was like we have lip smackers and then juicy tubes, and then somehow fresh got in the mix.
Definitely lip smackers was a thing. Yep. Okay. And so then another question about the website. So how do we feel about putting fees on your website? Should they be on there and does it matter? So I guess that's a question, for Julie and Nichole.
I'll jump in first if you want, Julie. I didn't. I think but we would have it on Jane, right? So they go to the online booking. And by the way, the online booking alone, literally not only did the phone stop ringing, because before I had online booking, it was ringing every 5 minutes. And it was like, who likes the phone, that sound of a phone ringing? So if you don't have online booking, you have a bottleneck and they're going to voicemail and a person. But I just found that get them on a call. Get them on a call, have the messaging on your website, really speak to them, give them some hope. I think they land and all they really need from you is hope. They don't want to see numbers yet. And then get them on a call. And then of course, it needs to be informed consent. So of course you're going to go through all the things we have to ethically, but I didn't. And it was quite clear though in Jane, even though the consult was free, they could scroll down and see everything there.
Agreed. I totally agree with you, Nichole. I never had prices on my website. And now with Jane, it sort of becomes a non-issue because it's all listed there for everyone to see once they see your clinic and the Jane portal. And I agree I just want to add about the phone calls. So at Ginger Desk, we always say you'll save so much money on your admin assistant if you can retrain your patients to book online or send an email. As soon as you've got them phoning the clinic, you're just going to spend hours and hours worth of having somebody sit there listening to voicemails, fielding questions that are unnecessary. And we've seen folks cut their bills in half when they switch to online booking. So well said.
Amazing. Great to hear. Okay, so I feel like we have time for maybe one more. Let's talk about initial consults and should they be free? Some folks make individuals leave a credit card. So what are your thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh, let's talk about that. Okay. Because you're also here to learn from our mistakes, or at least mine. So I tested something out. I literally funnel everything to the online booking and save all that money on the admin and then have them book a free. I really believe it needs to be free. I truly believe that we know that people wait way too long by the time they book us. We know that for sure. Their arms falling off, literally, right? Like think about yourself, how much you put something off. So I just believe that you're going to get more consults if it's free, and you're absolutely going to convert once they talk to a human, one of your therapists or you, and feel the experience of feeling good for a moment, feeling that relief or that hope for a moment. And I promise you, it'll be worth your free 15 minutes. Definitely.
Well, I know we are just a couple of minutes over time here, so I want to be mindful of everyone's time. Thank you so much. There's so many great tips packed into here. I'm excited to watch it back and just relearn everything. So thank you for sharing. As we mentioned at the beginning too, all of these wonderful women are featured in our second volume of Front Desk. So be sure to go to jane.app/front desk to subscribe and get yours if you haven't already. If you have subscribed, once is enough. You are on our mailing list, so you're good. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. This was fantastic.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Have a wonderful day.